Hey Homeworthy, I'm Avery. Welcome to my Santa Monica Beach bungalow. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Scan the QR code to subscribe to our new channel, Wedding Worthy, where we celebrate amazing couples and the love stories behind their perfect day.
Hi, I'm Avery Burridge. I'm a content creator and we are in my Santa Monica bungalow. My fiance and I were looking to move in together for the first time, so I was looking on Zillow for Santa Monica apartments and this one popped up. I came to view it and then within 24 hours we had the apartment. We've now been here for about 2 years and we plan to be here until someone kicks us out, I think. What really drew me to this apartment, which is interesting because it's not really my favorite part, but was the kitchen that you'll see in a little bit, because it honestly reminded me of my best friend from home's kitchen where she grew up. So it felt super homey. And then on top of it, there's a ton of great natural light in here. You'll see like the floor to ceiling windows in the living room. So I saw just like a ton of potential to make it my own, essentially. My vision for this apartment was taking some of the pieces I already owned, like this couch, my coffee table, and just adding to it. It was really just a blank canvas. Some of the renovations that I did that were renter friendly were, I did have my landlord paint the walls, which is a good hack, is usually if you ask, they can paint them. They weren't white, they were kind of like a gross yellow before. And then you'll also see like we ditched some of like the really ugly curtains and we put in our own curtains. A few other things you'll see across the room are like peel and stick wallpaper. We also changed out some ugly lighting that you'll see in the back as well and put our own chandelier in. So I was able to make some tweaks that were renter friendly, like I said, to make it kind of my own. So welcome to the entryway / dining room. You'll see this room is really an open concept, which is one of the things I loved about it. So when you first walk in, I just wanted something as like a little bit of a showstopper. So I have this really cute CB2 little like table that fit perfectly in this space. And also from CB2, which I love, this is where we put our dog, all of our dog stuff. So like his toys, his leash, and it's kind of fun because it's a little hidden thing. I think it's actually made for like a kid's room, but for us it's made for a dog. I wanted to be like a little chicer than having his toys everywhere. And then to kind of add to the California vibe, we have this like very Venice looking book, which I thought would just like kind of kickstart the vibe of our whole home. And then this mirror, honestly, this is where I go before I leave the house, have a little check with my lip gloss, my makeup, and it gives everyone a chance to just get a little check on what they look like. So moving over, you'll see this is our dining room area. Again, very open. This is where we do all of our entertaining. We'll eat here and we'll usually start actually like with drinks and stuff in the living room, which you'll see in a little bit. But as you may be able to tell, my favorite color is blue. I didn't want to go blue overload in this whole apartment. So this tablescape gave me an opportunity to do that color here and not feel like it's the whole apartment. So this tablecloth I love. It's actually from Nikki Kehoe over in California here in Los Angeles. And I did a little play of like that beachy vibe, some old and new. So I love, again, blue and natural colors. These are really great Addison Roth candlesticks. I actually added them to my registry. So a little pro tip for brides, like loved that. And then I mentioned I like a little mix of the old and new. So what I did here is these are all antique vases and ginger jars, and it's actually from a local spot where I'm from in Chicago called Yankee Peddler Hinsdale. So definitely recommend. She has such a great curation there, and I always go home and crack up. My fiance's like, here she comes again with like another bag of antiques. So love these. And then when setting the table, I always want to make it feel a little more interesting. You know, like as we're getting older, I want it to feel more formal, but sometimes you don't always have the budget to have the nice china. So this is a great napkin from Hudson Grace, again, adding to the blue theme, but to kind of go from like budget to old to like more expensive. These are Stone Lane actually from Bed Bath & Beyond. And then beneath them, which I love, these are from my mom, who's also an interior designer. So she gifted me these. These are my favorite plates growing up, so I feel so honored to have them in my home now. And then again, kind of below it is another stone lane plate, Jenny Kane home placemat to kind of go into the beachy vibe. And then this is one of my favorite hacks for renters, people on a budget. If you love the Sabre Paris silverware, these are actually from Target. They're a little more interesting than your typical stainless steel. So this was one of my favorite finds that I had here. And this is kind of like what I would set the table like if we were entertaining, just to kind of like set the scene. We're adults now and have a fun little party vibe. Along with this room, we did some like renter-friendly hacks in here as well. So you'll see this is actually something we brought in. So the light, of course, wasn't centered in this rental. So we actually did a little hook here and made the light centered of the room. And then as you can see behind here, we've also added our own curtains. This is a great find from Crate & Barrel. People are always asking like, where are your curtains from? And we got these on like mega sale. I wanna say they were like $11 to $20. So this was a great find. These were some vertical blinds before and they were such an eyesore. So like I love that these still bring in the light, but add a little privacy as well. And then right before we enter the kitchen, this is kind of like our personal touch. So these are actually matchbooks of my fiance and I's favorite spots. So like this is a restaurant and diner in Santa Monica we always used to go to. This is where we spend a lot of time in Dana Point. And then some of our other favorite restaurants, and you'll see it actually includes the date that he asked me to be his girlfriend and then the time we became official, which is funny. So this is one of actually the first gifts that I ever gave him, which I love. So that's front and center in our living room, dining room area. And then the chairs here, you'll find like different variations of these. So I honestly had these 4 chairs in my last apartment when it was just myself. So these are something I brought over. You can find like great looks for less of these on Amazon. And then these end chairs, I felt that we needed so we can always have 2 couples instead of just one other couple in our house. And they're kind of like, again, a Jenny Kane look for less. These are essentials for living. And they're such a great find, really easy to clean, which I love because people's hands get it all dirty. But this is a way where instead of spending $700 a chair, they're like $200 each, which was a really great steal. But I love how they're kind of just end chairs that add a little more than just these 4 chairs to the dining room. Having this open floor concept, one thing I do love is if I am cooking when having friends over, sometimes I'll do takeout and pretend I cooked. But I love the open kitchen concept where it kind of feels like a kitchen island. I'll usually set up like drinks or an ice bucket here and then be cooking in this section as well. And this just allows me to be part of the conversation, which I love, instead of feeling like you're just in the kitchen by yourself when you're hosting. So this is a big selling point for me for the house too, is it's roomy to cook and entertain, but you're also still part of the whole floor plan as well. How I started in this was honestly, I was able to live alone for the first time, which I felt very fortunate about. And I absolutely loved that apartment. And it was my first time where I didn't have roommates where I thought they were gonna like ruin some of my things that I brought in. You weren't like splitting the cost of furniture or just like taking whatever you could because it's what you could afford at the time. So once I had my own space, I was able to decorate it the way I wanted because I knew hopefully no one else was ruining it, even if they came over. And I honestly started posting that apartment onto TikTok. And from there, like people started asking me questions, asking me where things were from. So I kind of just continued from there, posting that apartment, outfits of the day, my general lifestyle in California, and it's gotten to here where I am today. I would say my personal style is very California chic with a little bit of like old and new combined. As we go through the house, I think you'll see like that very beachy chic vibe, I guess we can call it, along with some like very curated antique pieces. A lot of my style is influenced by my mom, who's an interior designer. So I grew up around antiques, the love of art, but also having a love for decorating the home. So I think we could call it like California beach chic with a little old and new. My favorite room, which I think most people would agree with, is probably our living room. The light that comes through on a sunny day just like makes it feel so warm in here. And I love the tones of the entire room as well. This is where we spend most of our time. We don't have a TV in our bedroom, for example, so this is where we watch our favorite shows. This is where we entertain. So I'd say definitely our living room. So now you've seen the entryway and our dining area. So I'm gonna take you over to kind of the showstopper of the apartment is the living room. So I know we mentioned I do the entertaining over there, but we really start kind of drinks and entertaining in this room. How I thought about this room is, one, it's such a great open space, so we were able to have a lot of seating, which I feel very fortunate about. A few things I wanted to kind of point out is I actually already owned one of these living spaces couches. They're super comfortable in my last apartment, and I was able to find the exact one on Facebook Marketplace for much less than a brand new one. So that was something where I could easily match a couch that I already had. And then things that I already had in my last apartment too that were just a natural fit in here was this coffee table from Crate & Barrel. I loved the natural wood, kind of for that like beachy chic vibe again. And then again, this is more of like that mix of old and new, I would say. So obsessed with candles everywhere. This is one of my favorite scents by Voyage at Sea. I probably said that wrong, but it's a great scent. It's actually the Los Angeles scent, which I love because that's where we're located. I love mixing in different metals as well right now. So love this silver tray from Williams-Sonoma. And then these two candlesticks are actually from Amber Interiors, who's also here in California. And I'm obsessed with hydrangeas. I try not to go hydrangea overload every week or two when I do new flowers. But these, I love that they pull in the colors of the room, and I'll probably be including these in my wedding, which is kind of fun to have them in my house at all times as well. One of the things that I think people love the most is this piece of art, as well as these shell sconces. So a little bit about the shell sconces. These are actually meant to be hardwired as if they're really a real light. But I can't do that because I'm a renter. So I actually just had these mounted. And then what you'll see here is I got Amazon lights in here. And just to like turn them on via remote, it adds the illusion that they're in the wall, but they can light up. And they're one of my favorite things. When I was kind of looking to decorate my apartment, I saw these and I was like, I'm gonna find an apartment where I can put these somewhere in my house and it's gonna be like a part of the room. So that's what I did here. And then this art piece is actually a Slim Aaron's art piece. I got it, it's a print. It's from Fine Art America. And it's actually surfers based in Laguna Beach. So my fiance, he's from Newport Beach. We spent a lot of time in Orange County in general. So this was a natural fit for this room because it's a place that means a little something to us and also goes with that like beachy vibe that we were going for. Looking at the couch, again, I mentioned that I didn't want to go blue crazy, so I tried to add different textures and elements into this part of the room. So you'll see there's a more mix of like beige, brown, green, and blue. These great pillowcases I actually got from Etsy. It's a great kind of hack I have. Like if you're looking to like switch out pillowcases, like Etsy's a great place to start when you're just looking for something a little different, not sold in the stores per se. And then they matched perfectly with this light blue, so still bringing in the light blue. This is a Crate & Barrel pillow as well. So I kind of just did whatever you see on this couch, you'll see exactly on the couch facing it. Because the key to comfort is making sure you have comfy pillows for when, one, you're entertaining, but two, we both spend a lot of time on these couches watching our favorite show. One thing I think is funny, like this is my couch and that couch over there is my fiance's couch. And we just sit on our couches and like watch whatever we love. So it's kind of funny that we have our own little couches. Moving over here, so sometimes the TV is quite an eyesore, so I try to make it still fun below, despite that it's just like a big black screen on our wall. So I wanted to add some natural elements with still bringing in that like rattan beachy feel. So this is a great little fern here. And then again, mixing some little bit of old. These two bookends are again from that Yankee Peddler store where I grew up, antique as well, along with this little blue dog. Our puppy used to like bark at him all the time thinking he was a real dog, which is really funny. And then some personal touches of like Nick and I on one of our first like trips, big trips together, and then bringing in those metals again and more lighting here with this little lamp from Williams-Sonoma as well. Another thing that people always ask me about, which I think is so funny, is everyone's like, where did you get these pillows that are underneath your coffee table? And it's actually funny, it came with the living spaces couches as like kind of ends to it, but we just put it here to like, let's say Nick and I are being lazy and we want to eat our meals here at the table, like I'll just sit on one of these poofs. Or now it's become essentially a dog bed for our puppy, which is really nice. So they're really just part of this couch that comes with it, but I didn't want to use it. And then this rug was something before I moved into this house, like I knew I was gonna put this rug in our house. It's from Rush House. And what's really unique about it is each of these squares are like hand woven. So let's say one kind of becomes a little undone or gets messed up, you can actually just buy a square and weave it in yourself. So the rug kind of always feels new if you need to, and it's super easy to do so. So that's one thing I liked. I didn't want it to feel like something that would get super dirty if people wear shoes. And then we have a dog as well, so kind of hides a lot of dirt, I will say. So these two chairs, again, we love to entertain and have friends over. I had one of these chairs in my last apartment, which was great. And lucky for me, Crate & Barrel then again had this chair still in stock. So I just bought this chair, like the second one of it, so we could match. This little table is for like when people are coming over and they want to set their drink down or something, they can do so right here. And I felt like it matched perfectly with the whole look of the room. And then this bar cart, I love. It's been with me since I graduated college. It came from Chicago all the way over to California. So any of my previous roommates would recognize this bar cart because it was like one of my first more expensive purchases. It's from Serena and Lily. It's right now, of course, it's on display of like when we're not entertaining it, just like to look cute. But this is where we come over, we'll grab our champagne to put on ice. This is where we'll get the fancy glasses out for our guests. And I love that. And I also included a little ode to my home of Chicago with these Chicago coasters, Wrigley Field. Go Cubs. I'm a Cubs fan, not a Sox fan. So anyone else there might relate to that. Last but not least is this beautiful plant. So it was super happy in this house. It grew like probably another foot after we moved in here. But this was gifted from my mom, actually, and it was something, thankfully, I've been able to keep alive for at least 2.5 years. I was a little nervous, but the natural sun that comes into this living room, I think, makes that plant and us super happy. And then one thing I'll also point out, similar to our dining room, we put the same curtains over here. So we had the really ugly vertical curtains that you might have seen like in one of your previous apartments or apartments in general. We got these again on mega sale at Crate & Barrel, just had a TaskRabbit put this rod in for us. And it changed the room, honestly, and made it look much more fancy than it is. And it still gives you that privacy at night, which of course we need because these are huge windows and the other building can always look in very easily. So what has really inspired me to be interested in making a home and decorating is definitely my mom. She is an interior designer, so she really taught me and probably my siblings everything we know about making a home feel like I said, a home. So I'd say she's definitely been my inspiration in this apartment as well as like my love for decorating in general. I love entertaining. I honestly wish we did more, but we do entertain a lot. We like to have either dinner parties or we will do game nights as well with my fiance and another couple. And it was important for me to be a space where both me and my fiance love to come to, but it's something that I was proud to bring friends over to as well, where they could feel cozy and at home while we're like eating takeout or cooking them a nice dinner. Within the living room, we also have my office, because again, super open concept. This desk has been with me for quite some time too. It's actually CB2. Very cute, Serena and Lily. We don't have a ton of lighting naturally in this house during nighttime, so like having lamps around for that like soft lighting is really important. This right here is one of the most beloved gifts that I got from my mom actually. She gifted each of my siblings one of these pieces by Grace Weaver, so this is her actual original art. This was given to me as a child. I definitely love Capri Suns. I'd make them into the phone as everyone would do. I was born in the 90s, so not everyone might not relate to that, but this had to be as like a showstopper in the room too, because that was one of the best gifts I've ever received. This is a great chair from Lulu in Georgia that I actually got recently. I thought it really tied into the pillows and the colors of our living room really well. And then another kind of old mix here is like a little antique vase, my favorite calendar from Karen Adams. And to make the desk not feel super white, this is honestly just an Amazon little pad. So this is my working space where I do all the magic happens, I guess you can say. I think what gives a house or a home a soul is the people and the memories that you fill it with. And that can be who you have over as your friends. It could be who you're sharing the house with. So for this example, it's my fiance. And then we, as you'll see, of course, as we tour the house, we're collecting things of memories. So photos from our first trips across the world, art that has been passed down from my family. So I think a lot of it just holds some of the best memories as well. So I'm gonna take you into our bedroom, but before we get there, I wanna show you some great renter-friendly hacks that I think is really important for everyone to know about. So the first one being is this is actually covering a very heinous light that there's nothing I can do about. So this is a great little hack that I found out, and it's from Tulip Shades, and it's renter-friendly. They're up there with little command strips, and you just pop it up and it covers it and makes it feel way more chic and like elevated than whatever light is underneath there. So that's one hack that I have for you all. And then the next hack that I think everyone should know about, if they don't already, is peel and stick wallpaper. So typically when renting, the bathrooms usually aren't super cute. So one way I wanted to make it, again, super beachy and just feel a little more chic is this is Serena and Lily's peel and stick wallpaper. So my fiance and I actually installed this ourselves. I don't know if I'd recommend. It was definitely a tough day for us when we were doing this. And then this is another beloved original art that I was gifted for my birthday. It's by Sarah Baba. She's a photographer. And this is something I love. It was kind of hard to find a place for it, to be honest, but above the bathroom, it looks so great. And then the only other hack in making a bathroom look a little cuter is just like put above the toilet like a nice candle. We have some of our favorite matchbooks from our travels, and it just adds a little element to the bathroom that I think is just really nice. Before entering our bedroom, you'll see we have some little art decorations. So that's another thing, is I love putting all of our art hung across our apartment. The first one, this is again gifted actually by my parents. They traveled to Cuba together and they brought home each of us one of these tiles, which is super cool. And then this was gifted by my mom. She had went to Italy and brought this back for Christmas, which I thought these went really nice together. And then I'll only point this out because this is one of the few things that my fiance was actually able to keep to hang in the house, and he went to Chapel Hill in North Carolina. So I did allow him to hang the bell tower in our apartment. Coming into our, I guess, primary bedroom, you'll see very bright during the day. I wanted to kind of feel like a cloud in here, so that's what I definitely accomplished with our bedroom. I'll start by pointing out I have another tulip shade in here. It's, again, one of my favorite hacks. We're covering up a really ugly light, and I think it just takes away and like goes in the room very nicely. The bed is definitely the main part of the room. So this is my favorite cloud duvet by Parachute Home. We mixed it in with a cloud blanket actually. This is from Boll & Branch. So I have quite a mixture of different beddings. So I've tested it all out. And then these two pillows are from Crate & Barrel. I love having just like a big pillow to make the bed look super fluffy. And then I always pair our beds with Euro shams, and then we have two pillows behind it. But again, I wanted to still bring in the blue of here, but I think adding just like the natural and lightness into the bed to make it, again, feel like a little piece of heaven was super important to me. The bed frame is by Restoration Hardware. So this was one of our bigger investments, I would say, as a couple, but we upgraded to a king bed when we moved in here, and it was definitely one of the best decisions we ever made. So I cannot recommend that enough. This also, I think, is one of my favorite areas of the house. So we have both sides have these nightstands by Crate & Barrel as well. And then I also saw these two kind of lampshades here from Serena and Lily before I came into the house. So that was something I always wanted to bring in this apartment. They are not hardwired, which is super nice. They actually just plug into the wall, so super renter friendly as well. Had a TaskRabbit hang those up, which was really easy and nice. And this is my side. I don't know if you can tell, but I always like to have fresh flowers. This is actually original art, again, from a friend's store back at home in Chicago. And I always have like a little candle to set the mood. Sometimes I like to do turn down service like a hotel in our bedroom, and I'll light the candle and take down the bed. But this is my little side. And moving across the room, we have my dresser and kind of like little area, I'd say, to add some more elements here. This dresser's also been with me forever. I've had it since I lived in Chicago. This is from CB2 as well. This is a great natural kind of like beachy vibe as well to go with the lampshades by our bed. This is from Mark and Day. And then this actually is one of our newest pieces. I went to an estate sale. It was Annie Myers, Nancy Myers' daughter's estate sale actually. And I couldn't believe that this starburst mirror was actually here. So it's completely vintage. You'll see like, it's actually missing a little piece, but I think it adds so much character. Another example of kind of mixing that old and new in here, which I really loved. And then this is just like a little vanity area I have for myself. So this is kind of like my room, but we sleep here, of course, together. So this is Nick's side. We wanted to make it feel still like not super girly. So he has stuff relating to skiing, which he loves. And then one thing I didn't point out in Crate and Barrel side tables were they have actually chargers in here, which I love because it hides chargers from being out in the room. So it takes away from like having to have wires out, which I really loved as well. One of my favorite design tips is mostly because apartments don't really have recessed lighting, is adding in lights where you can. So we did it with our sconces here. We did it with a little light on my dresser here. So I think just adding little lamps to have that soft lighting at night is one of my favorite tips. Home means to me is every time we travel, anytime we're going to weddings, trips, in the end, at the end of each of those trips, I can't wait to come back here. And I think that's what makes it a home. I look forward to getting into those clean sheets that we leave the house in, coming onto this couch as well. So I think it's just a place that you always want to come back to. Thanks so much for coming, Homeworthy, but I gotta go. It's too nice of a Saturday to be sitting inside all day. See you next time.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.